Check that out. The dash is bolted in and the windscreen is in place. And there's something hiding around the front there. You have to watch the video to find out. If you ever find yourself with an upside down mini rod, you're in trouble. Unless you want to put a dash panel in there. Got a few ideas in my head on how I'm going to do it. I want something very simple, but also will hold it tight, because it's going to be helping hold the windscreen in place with the curve in it. And I've also trimmed out the boot lid. This one was still rough out of the mold, so I had to trim it up. So when I glass the boot lid in, I'll glass whatever's going to hold this in and the body tag for the boot lid. So I've got to figure this out. All right, so these are the dash mounts I've come up with. It's pretty simple. Just sits in there like that. These will get glassed into the dash. This part will get glassed into the body. Yeah, pretty simple. Let's get them glassed in. Boot lid on, and this boot lid it's been sitting for a few months, so it's sort of flattened out a little bit. I've corrected most of it, but there's a slight twist in it. It's not quite exactly where I want it. I want it to be slightly more curved up in the middle here. So I'm going to show you how I correct fiberglass panels. Fiberglass isn't necessarily set in stone. You can manipulate it, but you got to be careful. So I want to put a bit more bend through here, and then once I've got this side sitting, because this side's a lot closer than this side, once I've got this one sitting where I want it, I'll put a bit of twist in it, and then get this side sitting flush. But once I put a bit more curve in it, it should be a lot closer than what it is now. So I want it to be sitting there. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Alright, so I've got my panel just leaning up against this tyre, mainly because this is where my heat gun is. This one, I believe, goes up to like 500 degrees, which you definitely, 600 actually, you definitely don't want your fiberglass to get that hot. You want it to be about 60 to 80 degrees. So if you touch it, you will get burnt, but you won't get horribly burnt. A bit of gentle pressure and heat where you want the area to bend. This is how I do it. If you keep the heat moving around a lot, heat up the area you want to bend. In my case is here. I'm going to put slight pressure on it. Because this panel's already curved, it's easy to just put down pressure on it, get more heat in the flange. I should do it for the heat. Yeah. So that's probably around 50 degrees Celsius. So a bit more pressure on it. I'm going to keep it there until it cools slightly. If I had an air blower gun thing, I'd use that. A bit of patience, but it will spring back a little bit. You want to try and keep the pressure even and consistent. I think that'll do it. We'll go test fit it back on the car. Let's see what happens. That's much better. Maybe a slight bit too much here. As it cools down, it should relax a bit more. And that's pretty much taken care of all of it. Once I get a boot latch on there, it'll pull it in tight. It moved a very small amount, which is what I wanted. It lines up much better now. Happy days. This here is my windscreen material. It is clear PVC. It is 3mm thick, and it just so happens it's the perfect width. So all I have to do is cut a strip. I should be able to get 4, maybe 5 windscreens out of this. So I've got to mark it out, and it says it's easily cut. Bandsaw, handsaw, or other cutting tools. So I was going to try a jigsaw with a fine blade on it, like a metal cutting blade. But first I'm going to mark it out. Right, so that cut pretty easy. The issue is, you can see the line still. Where I started right on the line pretty much. And then it warped. For some reason, the blade followed the timber, even though I had this set. So I think this blade just sort of flexed a little bit, for whatever reason, I don't know. And decided to cut it bigger, which is not an issue at all. So I'm gonna go fit it in the car. It's going in. Like that. There it is. Alright, so this is the beginning of making my jig. So I've got these clamped to the inside. And that's going to be my reference for when I weld a plate up against, well, I'm going to clamp the plate against that and then weld it down here on both sides, on the outsides. So the plates that I'm going to weld afterwards will represent these, because I can't make an external spreader bar, it has to be internal. If that doesn't quite make sense yet, it will after I finish cutting the plates I'm going to use. It's going to be very heavy stuff. I don't want it to move. I have to be careful welding it because it will distort. As you just saw this before, I had a clamp to the front frame horns on the mini hot rod, and these edges represent the inside of the frame horns. I've got these little bits of 10mm plate. I think that's 3/8 in Imperial land. So they're going to be clamped on there and then welded. Pretty straightforward, really. Then I'll remove these inner pieces with great difficulty. That should be alright. Cut them off. That doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't even matter if I cut them off through here. All I need is this top section where a piece of pipe and a flange is going to be mounted to, so I can get the right angles on the pipe. I drilled 2 holes, and that's the center of where I want the spreader bar. I've got these 2 little bits of solid 10mm plate. Never mind that rough edge, the bottom edge is clean and square. So I've got 2 of those. Which one of these do I want? The one with the bevels on. Right. Better clean all this up a bit first. Get that gap out of there. Probably have a little bit of swarf or something in there. But anyway, that's where they're going to go, because this was welded, clamped to the inside, so this will represent the bar, the horns on the front of the frame. I know these 2 are a bit different lengths. They're from my scrap pile, so I just made these to this, the short one. Anyway, get these welded on. Get these cut off after I mark the holes. I'm gonna make a straight spreader bar and then I'll make a bent one. Note to self, if you need to drill a large hole in something, do it before you weld it to it. Do it before you weld it to something else. Right, so the spreader bar jig is made. Got the holes in. I got the piece of metal that I was going to use to fit in there. And then, you know, cut it to size. Welded the bits in the end of it, ground it nice. And then started polishing it. This section here took about 20 minutes to half an hour to do, because I had to get rid of the gull coating on it. And then I started on this side and thought, this is going to take far too long. It's not economical to make, because these come with a body. If you want to buy a body, it'll come with a spreader bar. So I thought, bugger that. I'll go down the steel shop and see what they got. And they got this. This is a heavy wall, black oxide finish. So you see it's shiny underneath there. But it's slightly bigger in diameter this way. So I'll have to modify this. So I'm going to chop this center bit out so I can drop the bar into it. I'll have to accommodate a little bit. But the main purpose of this jig is to give me the angles of the frame horns, and it will still do that even with this bit chopped off. I was thinking about chopping it through here, but then I still want this height to guide my grinder blade, help with marking it with the texture. I'm going to cut that out. I'll draw proper lines on it with a square. I'll cut it out. Probably have to use this guy, carbide burr, just to clean it up a little bit so this pipe will fit. Then I should be able to polish up a spreader bar. Right, I've got that fitting in there now, which is good. It sits on the bottom, both sides, it's held securely. So now, clamp this side, mark this side, chop that side, and then I'll have to slowly grind it in till it fits. I've got this thing set up as a jig now. So I've had to put these bolts in here to hold it up, because once this is cut to size, it just falls through. Got bolts into the end. This inner washer has a nut welded in, which is going to be welded to the pipe. This is acting like a clamp system, because these washers aren't quite wide enough. Same deal on this side. So I'm going to throw some tacks on it, line it all up, throw some tacks on it, and then between the tacks I'm going to put the slitting saw, or the slitting blade, on the grinder in there, and then I'm going to weld, like gap weld it, to guarantee penetration on this thick wall stuff. And the moment you've all been waiting for, the spreader bar in its shiny gloriness. Let's step back a bit and take it all in. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. There we go. Get it all in there. Soak that thing up. This thing is not perfect, and if you order a body from me and you want a polished spreader bar, I'm going to charge you for it, because that was a prick to make. And this thing isn't even perfect. If you see in here, it's got imperfections all over it, and that's driving me nuts. But I'm not touching it anymore. I'm sick of it. Next time I make a spreader bar, I'm going to be making it different, and possibly out of stainless. That's just mild steel. Anyway, thanks for watching. Consider hitting that subscribe button if you want to see more, and if you give the video a thumbs up, that'd be great.